warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in, amma ba'd. Alhamdulillah, we are glad to have this program. Okay, first of all, I would like to thank organizing committee who are with us here so that this program is successfully materialized, and then Dr. Amran for being together, supporting our department and willing to have a program together with us here. So I believe this is a very important program because it is related to what you are going to do in another 3 or 4 years' time. Yeah, it is actually, we know that Ilmu Kalam is something that's very important, but sometimes got receive many questions, even to the extent of the ruling of studying it and etc. So I hope you can later on ask anything that you have, and whatever we can, or maybe we can also seek help of our lecturers who are here also to answer to your questions. Actually, frankly speaking, I am here. Actually, I took this task not only because I am now the head, okay, head of department, but I believe Kalam is my part of life. And another reason is because I'm actually like talking to my own sons, actually, because you are all about age of my sons and daughter. My first son is 31-year-old, and then 19, and then daughter is 17. So it is about your age. So it is something that is very important, and especially when you already choose to involve with this kind of enterprise, okay, this kind of nature of things, which is sometimes seen to be very classical, sometimes very challenging, and also sometimes also controversial, and etc. So I believe there are things to be solved before we go to continue in our class and etc. Actually, it has a very good potential actually outside there. Okay. Talking about myself, actually, I was also not a person who really wanted to be as one of the lecturer of Usuluddin. Because at first I was very keen to have on my mathematics and science, but it was my father who really wanted me to become a person. In fact, I didn't go to MRSM. There was offer also to Kisas science stream. Again, I did not go because my father said no. So I was a very obedient daughter, even though my sister said, okay, why don't you just go continue whatever you like? Okay, don't follow whatever I mean, if you do not like it, so you can just negotiate with your father. So this is the thing. And the first, in my undergraduate study, actually, I also did not do on Usuluddin. So I was actually on hadith. On hadith. So, and then during the time other than hadith, because we didn't have, we didn't have department during that time. It was all about IRK until our master. And then besides hadith, many subjects I took also from fiqh. Okay, that's why I can talk fiqh. Other than also my husband is also from fiqh. Okay, we used to quarrel at home. This is also Usuluddin, that is my fiqh, and I know fiqh. Okay, so and it happened when towards the end of the master degree. It was about the thesis. Okay, when the thesis suddenly they separate into departments, and my thesis fall into Usuluddin on Islamic law. So that is actually my story. Alhamdulillah, after that, in my PhD, I decided to do purely in Kalam because I really wanted to explore into the field, and Alhamdulillah. And after that, I of course taught. I was teaching in this university, and I found it, mashallah, very interesting. A lot of things that we can explore, and not only for the sake of career, but also for your life, because you look into things sometimes differently from other people. You think here, you can think there about problem, how to solve them, etc. Including when you are married, okay? You have many problems. Of course, how to look into that. So of course, this kind of thinking is actually very helpful. Okay, so my task today is just to introduce what is Kalam, okay? Of course, the original topic is introduction to Kalam, isn't it? So first of all, I would like to begin with of course, the position and the place of faith in Islam, even though we know, because I myself, last minute I changed picture, because before I used to have Islam into two, okay, Aqidah and Sharia. I say no. Since I'm talking about Kalam, and actually we have to remember everything must begin with the concept of faith. We know that the first theme of the Quran is to ensure that Muslims not only know about faith, but also to be confident about it. Something that we cannot doubt. And only we can continue as a good Muslim. So maybe very small here, the writing, because I do it early this morning. So I am, of course, very busy. So that's why I put it there. After the faith is about Kalam and Usuluddin. So we know that Kalam and Usuluddin actually belong to the concept of faith. It's a discipline that explores further on the concept of faith compared to, okay, and after that, we came to Sharia, or now the discipline is about Islamic jurisprudence, and then the morality. And as you can see, nowadays actually, I also, in my opinion, morality is another area that we need to explore further. What is this? And surprisingly, morality or ethics actually is another field that is very much involved with philosophy. Okay, we don't have much time. So the meaning of Kalam, I took it from, it is Arabic. Abdul Kalam, this is according to Abu Nasr al-Farabi. Before that, we have Imam Abu Hanifah, who was the first one to mention about Aqidah or Kalam to be al-Fiqhul Akbar. And from there we know that, even in his opinion, of course, fiqh, because al-fiqh is basically is general term of al-fahmu, isn't it? So when you have fiqh on the Sharia things, on the practical things, and then we have Fiqhul Akbar. So even the book is named as Al-Fiqhul Akbar. So my husband used to make joke among the students. He will ask the student to find any fiqh issue in Fiqhul Akbar book. And then of course some students even did not go and have a look, and then they create a story, okay, in Fiqhul Akbar you will find this. So of course it is wrong, because Fiqhul Akbar is Aqidah book. And among others we have also Ibn Nasr al-Farabi, Sina'atul Kalam yaqtadiru biha al-insan ala nusratil ara' wal af'al al-mahdudah allati sarraha biha wadi'ul millah wa tazyif kullu ma khalafaha. This is very important, because you can see that al-kalam is meant to nusratil ara' wal af'al al-mahdudah allati sarraha biha wadi'ul millah. So this is to strengthen, to support the views and the actions that already decided by, of course, wadi'ul millah is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, wa tazyif kullu ma khalafaha, and then to cleanse, to get rid of things that is not in line with that. وهذا ينقسم إلى جزئين، جزء في الآراء وجزء في الأفعال. وهي غير الفقه، لأن الفقه يأخذ الآراء والأفعال التي صرح بها وادئ الملة مسلمة ويجعلها أصولا، فيستنبط منها الأشياء اللازمة عنها، والمتكلم ينصر الأشياء التي يستعملها الفقيه أصولا من غير أن يستنبط minha asyaun akhar. This is actually very important because by now we are not just understanding that Kalam or Usuluddin or Aqidah discipline is not only about understanding Aqidah, something to do with faith and not with amal, but also it's about the nature of study actually. So this is also, we have another here. Al-Hadaf, the objective of the Kalam is Da'am al-Ahkam al-Asliyah. This is from the word of Hasan al-Shafi'i. Al-Ahkam al-Asliyah bibarahin al-Jadidah atau dafa' syubuhat al-khusum anha. Fahadha huwa Kalam. So Kalam is actually going to strengthen the ahkam, but what we want to do is to find barahin wal adillah. Wal adillah, okay, can be from the Quran, from the hadith, and also can be adillah from reasoning. So this is actually the role of Kalam. On the other hand, fiqh is kana huwa istinbat ahkam jadidah min al-ahkam al-asliyah. So we have to remember then, Kalam is not about introducing new hukum. Okay? Kalam is not about introducing, new things, but we are producing adillah. Okay? We are exploring into the reasoning and the dalil from the Quran and Sunnah in order for us to strengthen what is the faith that we have in Islam. So this makes it, for me, quite clear that we don't expect that it is not a bid'ah, okay? It is something very good, very important, because as I already mentioned before, the expectation of faith in Islam is to be at the level of confidence. That is why throughout the Al-Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala draw the attention of human beings to look into what is available around us. Ulul albab. This is actually the first layer of looking into that proof and reasons for what we have in our life. Okay, so this is another ilmu yang tadi rumahku ala ibadil aqaid ini bi iradil hujaj alaha wa dafa' syubah anha. So this is more on the what they are doing, ithbatul aqaid ad-diniyah, to strengthen, to confirm, to affirm what is the aqidah by bringing al-hujaj, okay, dalil, wa dafa' syubah anha. So this is the main role of the kalam. So when we can see how the mutakallimun look around, even by making use of the philosophy, okay, Greek philosophy, and even nowadays, maybe it is your role now, to look into, that's why we study all about the Western philosophy and etc. Not because we are influenced by them, but we want to know what are the challenges, and whatever we can make use, then we can rebut, okay, and to strengthen what we have as the true teaching of Islam. So I always say, lately in my class, but now I'm not teaching Usul anymore, I have limited number of class. I say that mutakallimun actually are the researchers. In order for you to look into adillah wa barahin, you can just imagine the researchers when they are doing their job. Do you think that, do you ever have a kind of understanding that any proposal on research, then you say, oh, this is nonsense? You see, people in science, what do they do in their research? They will go into very detail, what people from economics are doing. They even project things. Things are not happening yet, but they already look for, some potentials or something that may happen, especially looking into the trend of the time and etc. That's why you can see the mutakallimun were very, active in trying to look for new solutions, and sometimes even not even yet exist. So this is, and especially, and I'm not saying that, actually, you can see what happened among the mutakallimun. because the challenges were very hard during that time, were very, difficult, because it was the first time, Islam involved with expansion of the territory of the state, and then addressing and need to confront many types of ideologies exist at the time, and that at the particular time. And we know that not only one and two, there are many old ideologies already exist in that time. So that is why what the role of mutakallimun, because otherwise our concept of aqidah will be affected and will be, the right one will be ruined. And then here is, I think about the same. Ithbatul aqaid ad-diniyah bi irad al-hujaj wa daf' al-shubah wal murad bil aqaid ma yaqsidu fihi nafsul i'tiqad dun al-amal wa bid-diniyah al-mansuba ila dini Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam fa inna al-khasm wa in khata'nahu la nukhrijuhu an ulama al-kalam. So for me this is a very strong phrase. Mention that fa inna al-khasm wa in khata'nahu la nukhrijuhu an ulama al-kalam. So because that's why they are mentioning about the speculative reasoning and etc. Because the main intention is to strengthen the true teaching and also to refute the false ones. So when it comes to the subject matter of kalam, because this is when people always say, I don't come here with the literal understanding of kalam. Okay, this is about method and etc. And some of the explanation or interpretation of the kalam is quite negative, but I don't want to look into that. But my question is that, is kalam only mere discourse? It's a matter of jadal, it's a matter of debate. So this is observed by Richard and Frank actually in his article on kalam. He said that an activity that is formally distinct and was thematically distinguished from that of rational speculation. So it is not a matter of speculating, debating, but actually inside it is a very complicated things. And later on I will also come with other quotation from those people who really look into kalam, and even though they are not Muslims, but they really look high into kalam. So meaning to say, kalam in Islam is actually discussing about the most important contents of Islam. Of course, this is about aqidah. That's why we are different from any other religious theology. That's why some people reserve themselves from naming kalam to be Islamic theology. Okay? So we know that the contents of kalam is about epistemology, about God, about existence, attributes, pertaining to his governance of the world, as well as ontological status of human agency, about nubuwat, prophecy and prophets, about books, kitab, and then al-wahi. Also hereafter, next life, status of man and the order of society. So why is this? Because these are the most important themes of Islam. These are the most important answers actually in human life. So that's why sometimes Muslims, we take for granted of the most important answers given or provided by Islam through the aqidah. For example, on the concept of man. Okay, if we do not know about the aqidah, how can, or maybe we doubt about aqidah. So actually we do not know who we are. So Islam has a very clear answer on that, and of course Kalam is trying to defend these things from being deviated from the correct teaching. So this is okay. So I try to look to show the development of faith. This is based on my understanding from the concept of faith. Okay, because many people will say, is that only? Because from the faith, of course, it is developed into worldview. Worldview is part of philosophy actually, because for me, worldview is about the active side of the faith. When you can relate things in your life and you can understand what is this life all about, which is actually very, very important. If you go for the concept of life, including ethics and morality, this must be the first. The understanding of what is this world all about, our life, and etc. And of course, it goes up to the understanding of the Islam, okay, the Islamic way of the philosophy origin. How Islam is different from other religions. Not only when we mention about philosophy origin and we are one of the religions. No, we must know what makes Islam different from other religions. So this is what I try to show about the challenges that we always face, okay, from the first time until there is no end. We have many groups that we need to answer to. We need to counter them. We need to, of course, I began here, the first, of course, we as the mainstream of Islam, or we call it as Madhab Ash'ariyah or Maturidiyah in Kalam. Of course, the first step is about how to deal with other schools of thought, including Mu'tazilah, Shia. But we cannot say this is all. This is only the first layer, what is very, very important coming from this atheism, okay, materialism, even liberalism nowadays, rationalism, I call it, because these people, they put aside the religion. So they bring all new understanding into life. So this is actually the first people that we need to answer them. And nowadays we can see many things. Just now mentioned also the LGBT and etc. So coming from here, and of course we have other religions. But you can see Islam and other religions can unite to combat these things. And then of course this is the layers that we understand. And then after the different, then we need to know the levels of the level of disagreement. So maybe people who are not from the field, they don't understand. And what we can see nowadays, what I am afraid of, when we cannot see this kind of whole picture of who are our enemies, we keep on having, quarreling, fighting each other only, and we stop that. Whereas we have no way to go, and there are situations where we need also to unite with others, isn't it? And that's why I can see our department, Department of Usul and Comparative Religion, we discuss this. We know that we have differences of opinion there, and we also, of course, including our Usuluddin, of course, we know about what are the deviant teachings, because we know these are all deviated teachings of Islam. And to some extent, we also discuss what is Islam and other religions. There are points in where we can unite, because there are quite a number of philosophers. For example, now I'm listening to, for example, Alistair McIntyre and so on morality. Actually, they really look forward to work together with Islam, because in order to to face the current challenges like postmodernism and etc., which is actually very dangerous nowadays. So this is to understand that. And some people will ask Kalam or Usuluddin. So some people say, oh, we just want Usuluddin, we don't need Kalam, because I can see this is the kind of misunderstanding. They think that Kalam is like free thinking of things, and then Kalam is very negative, looking into the history. But for me, we cannot separate between Kalam and Usuluddin, because Kalam is basically the root. We need to take benefits from the history, from the Kalam. Actually, our predecessors already did a lot in order for them to come to the current situation that they are now. So we cannot just, cut and put them into the dustbin. No, it is actually a very meaningful discussion. And what more when it comes with methodology and etc. So Usuluddin without Kalam is a discipline without root or history. So we cannot. So here again mentioned about what I mentioned just now, to affirm the correct teaching and to refute the wrong ones. Okay. So this is actually actually to understand why we need Ilmu Kalam as on top of the Quran. I'm not saying Ilmu Kalam is more important, but after Quran, what else we need? But whereas we know the Quran consists of many verses about the Aqidah, and it is very clear, even it is repeated about, there are many verses and consistent about the message pertaining to Aqidah and faith. So that's why I mentioned here the Quran carries clear messages, especially when it comes to belief and moral system. However, the requirement of faith is to be certain and confident. So this is what I mentioned, the expectation is very high. It encourages men to strengthen their faith through reflection, etc. So this is also there in the Quran. So the mutakallimun believe that it is their duty to make use of reasoning and argumentation and extending it to other problems related to faith. So what they were doing actually is to defend. So this is what the role that we need to continue, because we have new challenges, new challenges. So the role of mutakallimun actually did not end. So we are all who continue them. And then, okay, I forgot to look actually from the book, because it is there also in Hasan Mahmud Syafi'i, mentioning that actually Kalam is about a kind of malakah, a kind of skill that you need to groom. So it is not basically for everyone. So we have to remember this needs a continuous, active, get used to what is happening. Like researchers, in order for them to become good researchers, they need to be used to do the research. And after that, they deepen and deepen. They understand this theory, that theory, and how each other can help them in order to build their own understanding, etc. So this is the thing. So this is, again, a quote from Richard M. Frank. He mentioned, which I found it very useful. He mentioned that although from the outset, the Quran was assumed by the faith of the believer to be the intelligible paradigm through which all being and meaning was revealed and to be known, its meaning had yet to be worked out. So especially when we are going, when it comes to philosophy, we know it is not about, do not always associate philosophy with the Greek philosophy. Philosophy is, the skill, the way of thinking. When we want to understand the general and framework of something, then it is philosophy. So we know that Quran is not a book of philosophy. So when we want to understand, for example, the first thing that the mutakallimun were doing is to understand the role of Tawheed. Because for them, this is very, very crucial, especially when we face, of course, Christians around us. So that's why how to make this Tawheed, and it brought to a kind of disagreements among the scholars, among the schools. So what is very important for us is to understand this framework, to be worked out. So because I'm talking to not awam, okay? I'm talking to people who are going to specialize in this. Okay, and here Frank also relates how Islam is a religion that is coming together with human experience. So this is what we mean as the Din al-Fitrah. Okay? Yet the exegesis of that meaning, which it was felt to make manifest and to render intelligible in the general experience of the community or that of a particular group, for Islam as a social cultural entity was already extremely complex, had yet to be made explicit in thematic understanding and defense. Within such a situation, the believer can only come to grasp the meaning of the Quran simultaneously with and in the understanding of the world of which he takes it to be the paradigm. So Islam is not a religion that you can understand more and more without our experience. That's why it is together with human experience. So again, they look into Kalam to be a very rich legacy actually. Okay, if it represents a really serious and meaningful attempt of the human mind to understand the ultimate structure of being, it constitutes a new thing, an epochal moment in the history of human thought, and is deserving of our most serious consideration. To understand it on this level, however, We must see the world through it. That is, in order to understand the meaning of the kalam and the significance of its statements about reality and the world as an historically defined expression of a genuine human experience of the world. We must somehow grasp the context of potential meaning from within which these statements arose and according. This is actually to answer to some people who think that kalam is just about debate and then quarrel and so you can see such an Orientalist also can value this kind of contribution, which is actually very rich by nature. And that's why he even said that largely uncultivated field. So, what is the meaning? We are the ones who do not cultivate it because we are busy of understanding this thing to be very negative, not beneficial, etc. But he found it. Actually, he has another statement because he focused his life being professor and more in this field, and the friends asked him, do you find it is worthy? Then he said it is more than worthy. So this is just to encourage our Muslim. So we also know about William Craig you can now type, okay, William Craig, the Kalam cosmological argument. So also made used by non-Muslim. We have that argument, but he is the one who really popularized this. And many Orientalists actually, of course, among them, there are also people who have a kind of negative, maybe they don't understand what happened, and then maybe because of being the spirit of non-Muslim. But some of them are very helpful in making us having more understanding about Kalam. So this is I quoted Ibn Khaldun's view between Kalam and philosophy because I know many people want to understand this. Well, this is my opinion maybe, but okay, this is from Ibn Khaldun and translated by Mustafa Jarik in his book. Behold that the usual procedure, actually I wanted to process more, to look into points, but I didn't have time, so I just that the usual procedure of the meaning of the mutakallim is based on the notion of proving the existence of God and his attributes from the existent beings and their proper states, while the philosophers inquire into natural body within the frame of physics, which is only a part of these existent beings. Okay, the difference in approach to the natural body between the mutakallim and the philosophers lies in the fact that the latter looks at it in terms of its being moving or at rest, while the former, mutakallim, looks at it in terms of proving that it has an agent, the creator. Okay, the same goes to the philosopher's inquiry in theology, ilahiyat, by way of which he seeks to comprehend absolute existence and that which is specific to its essence, while the mutakallim's inquiry is concentrated on the existence of the world by way of which he seeks to prove its creator. So you can see that the point of departure is different. They may meet with some points pertaining to the argumentation and evidence and etc. But the point of departure and the point of interest is different. Mutakallim will always look into how to defend the true doctrine of faith that we have. Compared to philosopher, they're more on understanding for the general what is happening in this world. But of course, as a Muslim philosophers like Farabi, Al-Kindi, Ibn Rushd, of course they try again to make it in line with the teaching of Islam. Coming from different point of departure, I mentioned at one point both of the groups may achieve some meeting points. The mutakallim may be discussing the issues of philosophy, and the philosopher may come to the issues in theology. So this is what happened. That's why mutakallims, in my opinion, we cannot just take the philosopher into mutakallim and mutakallim become philosopher because they have different interests. Of course, understanding and modern society a lot, because either you realize it or not, the most difficult answers about religion, about life, about this. It's about this. It's about man. Last time, Professor Muhammad Abdul from Adelaide came here and he shared with us one of our alumni from psychology is going to deliver a talk pertaining to, for example, human nature. Can you imagine? So it seems to be simple, right? Human nature. But it can be discussed after knowing, various theories about it, and then of course, we come back to Islam. So you can see these things actually welcome to a lot of maybe new interpretation, new way of coming into conclusion, etc. So this is the thing. And this is what we call as the subjects in philosophy. So you can see that the subjects related to these abstract things, so some people, especially Malaysians, because we used to be very practical, very science-based, and etc. So we always look down of these abstract things, whereas these things are very, very important in order for us to understand things in our life. And you can see the concepts are still discussed here and there until today. So that's why it is still always relevant in the modern society, and especially looking into the new challenges that we are facing. And then we have here, okay, I can say that in this modern society, of course, we are not going to repeat the history of making polemic and apologetic way of communication. And you have to remember, even when I observe into the writings of the Kalam, most of the times, they don't have even, face-to-face, or many of them even coming from different times. They just on paper, as if that they are doing the debate. But actually, it is not as what we imagine. They didn't have a very good communication like what we have today. They even did not have any kind of, maybe they had during the Abbasiyah beginning to have printed book. But it is not like what we have today. Now we can easily print books, and now even printed is not anymore. You can have and etc. During that time, also when you want to know something, you have to ride camel or horse, and only that's why if we follow the history of collection on hadith, isn't it? So they need to go to one place to another with very, of course, hardworking people. So this is the situation of the time. So we cannot, and we know that it is not anymore. One, maybe the thing that we imagine did not happen, as not as bad as what we imagine. The second is we know that nowadays this kind of way is not anymore applicable to our situation. And face the challenge from all levels of problem. Okay, and then to strengthen the understanding of those who are in doubt. We know among the Muslims, we have many levels of doubt. And what is the words, of course, people who mention directly that I'm not anymore be with Islam, I am doubt about God, I doubt about what? Even everything. So this is something very, very important for us to play our role nowadays. So I think that's all for my talk. I hope it can benefit all of you. And and we have the question and answer in case you want to ask anything. Okay, thank you.
Okay, now we open for question and answer session for the presentation. Anyone? We have 2 mics. Go to the nearest mic if you have a question. Any question? This is introduction. Yes.
Assalamualaikum, Brother Fazli. I have one question about this introduction to Ilmu Kalam. So actually, my question is easy one. So how to reconcile between the role of akal and nas in order to obtain truth? Because there are some group that emphasize or prioritize the role of nas before akal. So how we want to reconcile this? Okay.
Actually, we need a complete book to answer to that. Of course, we know that the issue of reason and revelation has been a debated issue over time. And of course, what we can say is that as a Muslim, we know that it is always the revelation and reason. I can see, in order for us to further understand about that, is actually the role of the people from Usuluddin, because we have to know what aspect that you are talking about. What is we have akhlaq, for example, in ethics, we have rule of reason. We have aqidah, we have rule of reason. In sharia, we have rule of reason. I think the rule of reason, of course, in supporting the revelation, is quite different in different aspects that we are dealing with. For example, Abdul Rahman in his book, So'alul Akhlaq, said, pertaining to akal, he divided into two, al-akal al-wujubi, wal-akal al-akhlaqi. He said when it comes to, a kind of, we want to plan for what the best we want to do, there's no limit actually. Because something that you want to perform it, of course we need to think big, think the highest. So to the extent, and I can say, okay, I do not know, pertaining to the role of revelation, actually we don't have problem from the discussion of the mutakallimun, including the Mu'tazilah, I would say. Because based on my observation, the first thing that they were discussing is more on the moral thing. You have to understand, during that time, the Islam was not divided into law, ethics, and aqidah in a proper sense. The Usul fiqh also was not that developed. So I can see, because it was the first school of Kalam, then they were talking about the general and generic instruction of the Quran. Of course, we need to think, what is the good? You know that good in akhlaq, good in ethics, is not static like good in law. Okay? So this is, I can see it's more, because they were pushing into the responsibility of man. So it is more on the moral side of man. And in fact, if you look into the books, because the books later on, in 1950 something, was found, the manuscript, especially Abdul al-Hamadani. So they were using all the revelations, but the way they interpret. So I don't think they were trying to say that revelation is no need. And in fact, talking about the commitment to the Islam, of course, based on revelation, because I want to show that it is misunderstanding to associate, the reason according to Mu'tazilah and the liberal. This is totally different. Because you can see even the Mu'tazilah talking about the law. For example, the hadith of the three situations, al-na'im wal-mumma alayh majnun. Even though the mainstream say, as if that the responsibility already raised up, already taken, and you are not responsible at all when you are na'im, when you are sleeping. But to them, they say no. Only you cannot say they are free from responsibilities. Only the situation makes them not considered to be guilty at that time. So we need to say commitment to the Quran and Sunnah, what we understand in the modern days, is intact among the Mu'tazilah. Not like what we have. And then of course, when you look into the role, Mu'tazilah was trying to defend the concept of Tawheed. and responsibility, and coming from Abdul Ilahi. And I don't think they say that, okay, to the extent, you have to, they are, the approach is what they call it as existentialist role. Existentialist role means that you look from your own point of view now. So of course we have to have husnul zan to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it is there in the Quran. Whatever you do good, Allah will reward good. It's not to the extent that, oh, Allah must do good to me because I do good. So this is very good. So maybe throughout the debate, maybe they have some go across the border. But I'm trying to say here that revelation is still important. I'm not saying they are true or not, no. I'm saying that it is consistent, that revelation actually is important. Only some people who do not understand what they wanted to do, and they say they make use of the reason first. Because in akhlaq, we make use of reason is very active in choosing our action, because we do not know qada and qadar. We do not know what is the takdir. That's why we have to prepare for the best. So this is something very practical and something more to explore into it. So yeah, that's why I say many things coming to our knowledge. And when we look further and we look deeper, actually it is not what happened in the history. So that's why reason and revelation is very, very important actually. Okay, thank you. Any other question, please?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum. My name is Asst. Usul. My question is regarding about the Kalam and philosophy. As we know, as you have said that Kalam has its own objective, while philosophy maybe really is about obtaining the truth. However, I have a question, because if we see that, and as we know, philosophy also talk about what is Kalam is talking about. So how do we differentiate between the line of philosophy and Kalam? Is it about because philosophy also has philosophy here is meaning that Islamic philosophy in sense, which is based on the Masdar al-Ilm, the trees. So that's one question. Thank you.
Okay, I'm sorry that the last question,
Okay.
because of the limited time we have.
So this is based on my observation. So maybe others have their views. That's why I say that there are overlapping discussions between mutakallim and the philosophers, because both of them actually coming back. Because we have to understand that the truth is related to the conclusions in philosophy. Because the philosophers were also looking for the status of this universe, either it is eternal or not. So that's why it is quite linked together. So there are overlapping subjects that discuss together. But as I mentioned, I believe it is about the point of departure. And why I say that, based on my readings also, it is narrated, sometime happened before, when philosophers were asked to have a kind of dialogue and discussion, and at that particular time, of course, the Mutazilites, they were reluctant, because they say the method used by these mutakallimun are weird. Because, you see, they will always concentrate on the faith issues. They make use of reason, but to defend the faith. So this is the point of departure. But the philosophers, of course, they will make use of the Aristotelian methodology, deductive, and very open, and then only they touch a little bit on what is the concern of the mutakallim. That's why they were reluctant. They say it is not like what we have. So this shows that even though both of them are making use of the quite reasoning, but the distrust is different. This is what I observe. That's why we don't treat these philosophers, even though they are Muslims, to be mutakallimun, even though they also prove something about the faith. But they, of course, influenced by the methodology of philosophy. So this is what I can say. Maybe Dr. Mega want to add? Dr. Fatime?
Perhaps they use the reason to interpret the Greek philosophy and to create another, if you say, section or a segment in philosophy, and they might call this as Islamic philosophy. But if you look at Ilmu Kalam, that is very clear that is portraying the approach of the Muslim philosophers from, guided by religion. So here you can see a distinction between, because I don't agree if you say that Islamic philosophy, if you say the Muslims approach towards the interpretation of what we have in faith in order to defend Islam, as you mentioned, like the role of Kalimun, the way they use reason, but the reason was not just pure, separate from religion. So we have to bear in mind that what was yesterday, perhaps today it has been abused, and I think maybe this what we are trying today with this workshop, to make sure that how to align with what was yesterday that has been neglected. So I think that is very important, because we don't have to look at from the Western perspective. They have a different approach. But as Muslims, they have a different approach. But if you look at it from the Western perspective, this is a problem we face today. We read our heritage from the Western perspective, and we neglected our own heritage. So if you go back to revive that heritage, this will help us to counter back, if we say the contemporary orientalism. If it was before 150 years, it was directly, but today it is indirectly, and that might be a kind of trap for young intellectuals, and as you mentioned, we all about the young intellectuals, our students, how they're going to face and to counter back the problems you say. And perhaps I would like to comment when you mentioned, you said that Ilmu Kalam is the root of Usul. Perhaps I disagree, because when you say Ilmu Kalam can be the means of Usul, means to interpret Usul.
Of course, you mean the root interpretation.
But when you say that the root, it is like, yeah, that should be the other way. Maybe you don't mean that, I think, but when you look at the reality, we use Ilmu Kalam to interpret the foundations and to defend them. That is very important, because it is one second.
I'm talking about Usuluddin as a discipline.
Yeah, when you look at discipline.
Usuluddin as a discipline is to continue from the what has been done by the Mutakallimun. This is what I mean. I don't know if it's good or not, but Usuluddin also is a discipline. It's not Aqidah. Okay, Aqidah is the gist, the content. Usuluddin is more on the discourse, on the Aqidah. Yes.
Interpreting this is what I'm saying.
Okay, so maybe but what is, based on my opinion, happened in the past, the heritage of Islam, we also cannot take it 100% as what happened, especially on the political side. You have to revisit what was meant during that time and the situation of the time. So now I open the floor, to all of you to further do the research. You can see that the issues are very subtle and complex. So what more when you are talking about the modern philosophers, modern things, modernity, postmodern things. So it is actually very interesting, because it adds up your knowledge and way of thinking, and you understand what is going on. You are actually the people who really understand the whole religion, Islam, because that's what you are representing, the most top of Islam compared to other fields of knowledge. So this is something that is very, very important actually. Okay, thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, thank you very much to Dr. Amilah for a very clear and inspiring speech. May I know how many of you are first year students? Okay. Clear, right? Okay, inshallah. Okay. Brothers and sisters, next, I will call upon Dr. Amran to deliver his speech entitled Kalam Renewal as a Basis of Islamic Thought and Revivification. Please welcome.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin, wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Allahumma aftah alaina hikmata wa mishru alaina min khazani rahmatik ya arhamar rahimin. Mr. MC, Saudara Aiman, my dear learned friend, Dr. Fatmir, the head of department, Dr. Amilah, and also one of the ISSI founders, Dr. Hastina. I saw Dr. in ADPAC, yes, Dr. Rahman, Dr. Rahman, and lecturers from the department, I may not recall the name. So, students, first of all, we are very grateful to Allah Ta'ala that we can be here today to discuss the thing which I think very important for us now as a Muslim at this very moment. For the past maybe in Malaysia we can say like 50 years and maybe 100 years in the Muslim world. Tamega, sorry, I didn't see you, Tamega, also my old ISTAC friend. We are the original ISTAC student. The new one are basically they're more Christian ISTAC. So we have different kind of approach to the thing. For the past 100 years in the Muslim world, we are too busy with politics and activism. And you see now the result of our obsession with politics and activism. We lost our thought, we lost our capability to think, to do nazar. This I think very obvious. We are now become more so-called practical. We like to talk about how to do things immediately. We want to have a shortcut answer to every problem. And we just do like, I can say like, many people say like, just firefighting kind of thing. We didn't reflect very long. We didn't see the big picture. We didn't look into the whole process of what makes us to be like what we have now. So this comes the idea of Kalam. I think there are three challenges that we face now as a Muslim, which I call 3I. First, I call the challenges of Iman itself. We face now the issue about the decline of the decay of the Iman, the faith among the Muslims. Some of them see religion as very, very restrictive, very, very burdened, very rigid, very conservative. And they kind of become skeptic to religion itself. Part of it because we are too much emphasis on law for the past maybe 100 years or 50 years in Malaysia. That I call the challenges of Iman. So we need to revive Iman. We need to re-strengthen our Iman, to refine it, to make it clearer to the people. Second is the challenge of ideologies. The ideologies. These are obvious. Liberal, pluralism, secularism, postmodernism. These are ideologies. You saw come in front of your eyes. People are talking about it. Some people are adhering to it. And the third challenge, I call it the challenge of Ilmu, the challenge of knowledge itself. So it's like in physics, in high physics, they have quantum physics. In biology, they have evolutionary biology, and all sorts of new knowledge coming. So what Muslims can do with these challenges? Challenge of Iman, ideologies, and Ilmu. So we need a kind of critic, a kind of thinking process or thinking approach to deal with these challenges. We just become like spectators, or we just ignore it. So this basically I think why nowadays we should talk about Kalam as a tool, as a method, or as a manhaj to create a nazar, a thinking methodology in the Muslim mind. So that basically today what I'm trying to to discuss or to share with all of you. Yeah? I'm very thankful to the department, to Amilah, yeah, for agreeing to let me come to UIA to discuss with the first year student. And this year will become a new mutakalimun. We need mutakalimun. Nowadays you cannot find mutakalimun. You find people in faith, fuqaha, many claim to be fuqaha, many claim to be muhaddisun, yeah, mufassir, but there's no mutakalimun. We need to create a new generation of mutakalimun, not all, but some, especially people who study Usul and comparative religion. So that's basically our purpose, yeah. So I try to share some of the issue, yeah, with all of you. Okay, so we are talking about Kalam Renewal. That means Kalam is a basis, yeah, for Islamic thought and Revivification. Yeah. That's basically what I'm trying to say. And the kind of renewal, yeah. These two buildings are important for us. Yeah. You know the nearest building. Who never go to this place? Raise your hand. Who never been here? Maybe you should go. It should be compulsory for you. Yeah. If you want to become mutakalimun, it's compulsory for you to go here to visit this place. Yeah. It belongs to UIA now. Yeah. So you should go. Yeah. Then you will see the richness of our intellectual tradition. And you should have a plan for visit and let people there explain what they are doing. So this time, yeah, this, you know, Alhambra in Cordoba, the last Muslim civilization so called to the Spanish or Western colonial empire at 1491, yeah. So like 500 years different. The fall of Granada or Alhambra, Andalusia is 1491, yeah, and 1491, and this state was formed, officially launched by Tun Mahathir at that time, 1991. It's like 500 years. Yeah. So if you want to understand the history of Muslim, you must understand the history of 500 years of our situation. And this will be very, very important for us to launch any area or any Tajweed program. Yeah? And you should look further at this history in Alhambra, and I highly recommend you to study further about this, the history of Alhambra, especially the beginning of Western colonization start here. Yeah? Now just a kind of quick summary we discussed just now, it's a bit where we talk about Kalam, because of the issue of this permissibility, or is it illegal, is it haram or not. Yeah, we need to know kind of some background. Yeah? So we have a kind, as I think we kind of agree this morning, about, for example, we said Aqidah is the starting point. Yeah? Aqidah is the crux or the gist of the thing. And we can say that the first phase is Aqidah. Yeah? This knowing our fundamental arkanul iman, as maybe we can memorize it or just in a very, very, very simple way. Yeah? This kind of, usually in our tradition, is represented by the Aqidatul Awam, the mutun, the general mutun, yeah, like Mut Marahin, yeah, like Jaharatul Tawhid, like Nasabi. It's a kind of a simple and straightforward creed of Arkanul Iman. So we call Aqidah. Yeah? We have no dalil. There's not much kind of this nakal or akal yet. It's just we memorize kind of that. Then when we go further as a discipline, as Amilah said, we have Usul. It's more elaborate dalil, whether clear or not clear, and become more maybe expensive, more kind of extensive. Yeah? And the last one, which is Kalam, is more general. Yeah? Because the importance of Kalam is not only about the dalil of not clear and unclear, but also the removal of the shubha. Yeah? The kind of to defend the religion. So that's why we said Kalam is more general. So this is very important for us to know the position of Kalam within the Islamic Aqidah. Yeah? So of course, we all need Aqidah, yeah, as our fundamental. Then if we know the dalil, then we have kind of solution. But how about engaging others? How about countering other views and sects, yeah, or opinion? Then we need Kalam. And how to face, for example, the challenges of Iman, which needs some critique, we can deal with Aqidah. But how to do the critique of ideologies? How to do about critique of ilms? So you need Kalam because it's more general. Yeah? And we give kind of explanation there by Sheikh Hamadi, one of the big scholar now in Kalam. He's based in, I think, in Morocco. Released in Indonesia, Sheikh Hamadi. So why we need Kalam now? This is a kind of common perception toward Muslim nowadays. Yeah? We are being seen as radical, extremist, terrorist religion. Yeah? So how we want to counter this? How we want to respond this? You need a kind of methodology. You need a kind of way to do it. For example, most of these things they said done by neo-Khawarij. So where in the Islamic history we study Khawarij? The problem with Khawarij, their mistake. Right? In which discipline you think we study Khawarij? We study in fiqh. No, we study in Tasawwuf. We study in Kalam. Yeah? So you need to study Kalam to know how it is. Yeah? This is also another issue. Yeah? Another issue now is about Islam and the challenges of modernism and postmodernism. Yeah? There's what we call Islam is monotheism, the relation between man and God, yeah? Surrounded or focused on Aqidah or Iman and Kalam. And we have modernism, yeah? Which is now man being God or indicated as that by Nietzsche, for example. Now man dealing with man, yeah? Man is the only kind of measure of the truth. And after they feel tired with modernism, they change to postmodernism. Now they go into what I can call like the subhuman level. Yeah? If you look about this transhumanism, this cyborg, this thing, hedonism, it's like become animal in a sense. Yeah? Although we can argue, but the kind of postmodern will lead you to animalism at the end. Yeah? So which discipline in Islam can deal with these challenges? In fact, I think in Tasawwuf, in Quran, in Hadith, it's in Kalam, it's ideologies. You can only study from Kalam. Yeah? And also the China ideology, I just make it kind of bigger. We talk about cosmos, yeah? About change, about chaos. Yeah? It's an issue of tradition. Yeah? Some people call it progressive reform, and some people go further, they call anarchy. So where in Islamic tradition you study all these things? Not in Kalam, the ideologies. Yeah? So what I'm saying here, I try to lead you to the necessity why we need to revive Kalam, yeah? The urgency. Yeah? And this one myth I want to dispel this morning, yeah? What I call the post-Al-Ghazali Islamic Dark myth. In Islamic scholarship, there is a common view by many people, including among the Muslim scholars, that after Al-Ghazali, Islam declined. After Al-Ghazali, Muslims no longer thinking. We stopped thinking after Al-Ghazali. And they accuse Al-Ghazali as the reason for Islamic decline in science, technology, and all other things. And this myth, I would say, first is promoted by the modernists. People like Muhammad Abdul, yeah? Rashid Rida, people Muhammad Iqbal, people Fazl Rahman. Yeah? And among the Orientalists, like Charles Adam in his book Islam and Modernism, yeah? I put it here. And also Hamilton Gibb, Modern Trend in Islam. Yeah? What they say here, if you look into the long history of the Islamic tradition, usually they start with Ibn Taymiyyah after Ghazali. Yeah? And they mention about Ibn Taymiyyah students sometimes, although not very important, like Qayyim al-Jawziyah. And they suddenly move to Muhammad bin Wahab, then come to Afghani, Abdul, and Rashid Rida. This is a kind of standard picture of the Islamic scholarship, yeah, in the 20th century. And usually when they talk about Ibn Taymiyyah, they will go back to Imam Ahmad. This is standard view about Islamic scholarship and tradition, intellectual tradition for the past 100 years. And I call it a myth. It's not true. Yeah? This is we need to be very kind of very particular about this myth, because they kind of influence our way of thinking the Islamic intellectual tradition. And another myth is promoted by the Orientalists. Similar like the first myth. They say after Ghazali, yeah, then Islam become anti-rationalist. Yeah? Islam becomes scholastic. This Kalam is being accused and become too dogmatic, too dialectic. The word jadal is usually referred to Kalam. Although it's true, it's one aspect, but it's not the whole aspect. Yeah? It's a period of stagnation, anti-intellectualism, and they consider people like George Anawati. These are all Orientalists, old-time Orientalists. Louis Garrett, yeah? Montgomery Ward, and Joseph Van Es. These are like the old-time Orientalists. Yeah? This is what the word they put into the Islamic intellectual tradition, especially Kalam, as very apologetic, defensive, dialectical, jidaliyah, yeah? Polemical, argumentum ad hominem, just attacking the person, like personal attacking, moribund, so they become apostle. And they call the stagnation of philosophical theology. These are the second kind of myth, make people don't like Kalam in the Islamic scholarship. And these two myths are very important for you to dispel first before you start any Kalam renewal project. This is what we found actually. So, if you say after Ghazali, Muslim didn't think, but what happened about, for example, Nasafi, Sharastani, Fakhruddin Arazi, for example, is a great Takalimun, also great philosopher, you want to say, yeah? Amidi Baidawi, just now Dr. Amilah mentioned, yeah? We have Tusi, Nasiruddin Tusi, Surawadi, Ibn Arabi also, Rumi, and we have after that Isfahani, Taftazani, E.G. Sanusi, where his Aqidah very influential in the Southeast Asia, in our part of the world, Jurjani, and up until Bajuri in the 19th century. So where is the idea that Islamic intellectual decline after Al-Ghazali? When Muslims become stagnant, become moribund, become fossilized after Al-Ghazali, a lot of scholars are around, and this picture has been shown to all of you. Yeah? This is very important, yeah? Because we cannot have this picture to build our civilization. We cannot have this picture to build our thought. Yeah? We must have this picture. We cannot just 4 or 5 people to build a big change in the world. We have more. We should have more. Yeah? And you see, there's no such thing as Islamic decline after Ghazali. In fact, after Ghazali, things changed very, very, very drastically. Yeah? You see? And to say Kalam is not important, it's not true. The majority of the scholars are mutakallimun. Yeah? If you look. Yeah? And we have tradition of Falasifa. Yeah? I mean, after Ibn Sina, maybe the greatest one is Tusi, Mr. Tusi. Yeah? Then we have also Tasawwuf tradition, Arabi, Rumi. We have Ibn Khaldun, it's more like social sciences. So we must know very well our own legacy and tradition if you want to build again. Yeah? This shows that the Ghazali, Kalam flourished, Muslim thinking also flourished. Okay. This specifically I want to stress on the Kalam tradition. Yeah? This is what our focus today. Yeah? We see in Ash'ari tradition we have people like join after Ghazali. All these people are just, you can have this slide after this. Yeah? And which have also the link earlier. Even the time of Imam Shafi'i, early in the time of Sahabi. So the current tradition is not just start with Ash'ari, for example. Yeah. In fact, it's earlier time, it's a connection. The only thing Ghazali did is to systematize. Yeah? To make it a discipline, the same like faith, all discipline are like that. Hadith, you don't have the very beginning, it's a hadith, yeah? Or the faith as a discipline, only then. The same with Kalam, yeah? So if we look into the development of Kalam in the Muslim world, of course faith started first, Kalam come later, yeah? as a comprehensive tradition. So if we look into the faith, for example, nowadays, yeah, we have like 4 major schools of faith. Yeah? You go into the Central Asia, yeah, this place we have more like Abu Hanifa's Hanafi school. Yeah, like Turkey, also in India and Pakistan. And where is this Maliki, in more North Africa, Imam Malik. And this is where is us, in Southeast Asia. We are all basically Shafi'i, yeah? Also in this Hadramaut, and also Hanabilah in Saudi. Yeah? How this faith mazhab transform into Aqidah mazhab. Yeah? So you see, majority who are basically Hanafi in faith, and some Maliki become Maturidi, yeah? And almost all Shafi'i, and majority of Maliki become Ash'ari. Yeah? This is basically the distribution of Kalam school in Islam for a long time. So we have majority Muslim, either they are Ash'ari or Maturidiyah. This is common. It's commonly accepted. Yeah? They have become the mainstream of the what we call Sunni Muslim, become the mainstream of Islamic or the Muslim. And of course we have Shia here in Iran, and we have Hanabilah predominantly in Saudi. But you see, the point here I want to show the Ash'ari and Maturidiyah is not marginal group in the Muslim world. They are the dominant one. So we have a latent strength in the Muslim, which is not being exploited, which is not being optimized. Basically, all Muslims are Sunni, majority, almost 90%. And they are either Maturidi or Ash'ari, and basically the two are not much different. These are the latent strength or the latent potential in the Muslim that we need to harness, yeah, through this revival project. And also in this part of the world, in Malaysia especially, we are also aware how Ash'ari come to our place, yeah, from Rahman especially, yeah. And we are predominantly Ash'ari. Shafi'i and Ghazali as far as Tasawwuf teaching. These are very important. Any revival project must be connected to the past. It cannot be like uprooted revival. Any talk about Tajdid and Islam without connected to the past are fanatic, are not grounded, and cannot go very far. And it's proven. All the modernist projects are basically failed. We know modernist projects in our time. Yeah? It cannot take off. Yeah? That's why any Tajdid and revival must be connected or must be rooted to our past. And this part of the world are basically Ash'ari, Shafi'i, and Ghazali. Now we have become too rigid. No, you must have a certain foundation for any revival. Of course, we need to do some correction, some adjustment, maybe something need to be changed. That's fine. But just to reject the past for the sake of rejecting, then you are doomed to fail in any Tajuddin and Islah project. So this basically now in Southeast Asia. Yeah? So again, this is the tradition that we want to revive. The Kalam tradition, which gives you a kind of a method, a tool to develop further in other disciplines. For example, we have Kalam. Amilah said, well, Kalam is fiqh al-akbar, the biggest fiqh. Then you have Usul fiqh, a kind of a fiqh al-asrar. Fiqh student maybe don't like this thing. But it's the fact, the Muslim, the scholars say that, it's not me saying that. Among the Muslims, among our scholars, they are consensus. They say, Kalam is fiqh al-akbar. Then fiqh, other fiqh become fiqh sangir. And the lesson, the law, then it's a fiqh itself, the practice. So before you do some practice in Sharia, you need usul fiqh as a principle, as a foundation. But before you have usul fiqh, you need to have kalam as a general or kind of, you don't like to say, it's a kind of philosophy to your faith, a kind of metaphysics for you practice. This is what kalam contributes to the Muslim. Kalam gives us the nazar part, the intellectual, the philosophy part, or the metaphysics part of your action. If not, you become a robot. Just to become activist, you simply become a robot. Yeah? I mean, your activism must be based on certain nazar, certain conceptual scheme, certain paradigm. Yeah? This is what we are lacking nowadays. So if you look at our tradition, maybe we start with Fiqh al-Akbar, Abu Hanifah. Yeah? Then we have Imam Ash'ari himself, then Maturidi, Nufura, student of Imam Ash'ari, Al-Baqilani, Al-Baghdadi, yeah? Al-Juwaini, teacher of Al-Ghazali, Al-Nasafi, Sharastani, Uddin Arazi, Al-Amidi, until Junani, 15th century, and up I show you just now, until Bajuri. So you see there is no kind of disconnect between the scholars. In 50 years, there are great scholars come all the time. It's a very clear continuity, yeah, in this Kalam tradition. And when we talk about the challenge of Iman, ideologies, and ilm, all these scholars provide you some wisdom or something that you can refer. Yeah, for example, in the challenge of Iman, we have the work of, for example, Imam Ghazali itself, Kawan al-Aqaid, al-Iqtisad bil-I'tiqad. We have in the work of An-Nasafi, yeah? For example, Aqidah An-Nasafiyah. We have very important because Imam Sanusi, Barahin. This can give you insight or give you knowledge how to deal with the challenges of Iman. And I know in UAE we have comparative religion. Yeah? Where you can find the root of your understanding of comparative religion, not from Mutakallimun. For example, when very early, Ash'ari wrote the book Makalat Islamiyin, discuss about the different opinion of sex among the Muslim and also non-Muslim. You have Baghdadi, who wrote about Al-Farq Baina Firaq, the differences of religion, and Sharastani wrote about Al-Milal wal-Mihal, yeah, which is the area of the Palestine. So for anybody who want to deal with comparative religion without referring to Sharastani or Baghdadi or Ash'ari, where you want to refer? Where you want to start your project? Not from them. If not, you just starting by your own. Yeah? So it's very important. Yeah? And this is very important for when we're talking about other religions. Without knowing your own religion first is like irony, it's like paradox. Yeah? Because understanding other religion, not just visiting their temple or their church, yeah? It's not just simply like that. You need to ground it to your own religion first. You must know what Ash'ari is saying, what, for example, Baghdadi is saying, and also what Sharastani is saying about this thing. And others like Hazam, Biruni. So this is a real comparative religion. Yeah? know there's a trend now among the young people to visit the places, or they see, it's like you want to know others. But you must know yourself first before you know others. Yeah? And also for the challenge of ideologies. How about the challenge of ilm? This is the work, for example, Taftazani, Maqasid. Yeah? Al-Maqasid, yeah? Also Al-Jurjani, Mawaqid. Even SLB as Al-Ghazali, the work of Tahaqqud, for example. This is where you find the work of epistemology, ontology, yeah? That deal with our theory of knowledge, theory of what we say now, theory of everything today is here in their book. So this is very important. For example, in the challenges of knowledge now, people always say Ash'ariyah are very outdated, Ash'ariyah are very fatalistic. Yeah? This is a common position by the Orientalists, and we Muslims just follow their words. Yeah? We become like the parrot of the Orientalists. You know now, what is the major debate in the Islam, in the science? They are still talking about, is it the universe at the beginning? Is the universe as a creator or not? Where did we discuss this? In Kalam. They say now about the Ajuz la yatadazza, is the smallest particle. Yeah? Nowadays they say of quantum, quark. In the recent part they say about atom. You know where we discuss this in Islam? About atom? Where you think we discuss? In fiqh? In hadith? In tasawwuf? In kalam? They talk about this cause and effect. It's a very important issue in science, is cause and effect. Sabab wa musabab. Amilah, for example. Where you think they discuss? In the past? In Kalam. Al-Ghazali clearly said about this thing. You see, this is the achievement of Kalam, Mutakallimun. Al-Ghazali already said, there's no like causal necessity between one thing to another. This is like a conjunction. So Al-Ghazali said there's no causal necessity between fire burning. Fire is one activity, burning is another activity. When you see, it's kind of like a convention, because we're accustomed to see. In the West, they only understand it during the time of IIUM. IIUM is like 17th century IIUM. Al-Ghazali already said around 11th century. Like 500 years after Al-Ghazali said, the West now taking the idea. And you said, Ash'ariyah are very fatalistic. In the West now, they start about the idea of probability. Yeah? It's no thing that you can be certain of things in the universe. That means our knowledge are all zanni. Basically about the world. Muslims already know from the very beginning. So if you look properly, Ash'ariyah are very close, especially Kalam Ash'ariyah are very close to the modern science discussion. So how can you say because of Ash'ariyah Muslim decline in science? You must define your own religion, your own belief you think is right. Yeah? So you can find this in all of these literatures. Yeah? So what we want to do is to revive this stability, this continuity of this tradition. Yeah? We sit here Kalam, but we don't forget of course Usul and Tasawwuf. These are very important. Yeah? Any project of revival, as I said, must take into consideration all these aspects, the Kalam aspect, the fiqh and Usul fiqh, and also the Tasawwuf aspect. But in DC we have more time. We focus on Kalam. But we hope the friend in university can focus on reviving Usul fiqh. In other place can revive Tasawwuf. Yeah? This is very important. And we cannot be Kalam alone. You know, yeah? We need to revive these three important traditions of Islamic scholarship together. So this is what we expect to see if we revive our tradition. Kalam, Usul fiqh and Tasawwuf can become the canopy for our life. Yeah? This is what happened in the past. They give kind of stability, a kind of protection to our soul, yeah? our life, in fact. But we know there's some kind of emergence of this very simplistic kind of thinking for the past 100 years. Yeah? With few people, now some people try to cut this tradition. Yeah? some people try to kind of reject this 1,000 years of tradition. They reject Kalam, they reject Usul, they reject Tasawwuf. They think they can go direct to the origin. You think you can go? You think by rejecting 1,000 years, you can go direct to the origin? Yeah. Some people argue we need to purify our religion. Kalam, Tasawwuf, mixed with different influences. There are Greek influences, there are Secretariat, Hadith, Islamic Hadith in Al-Ghazali. We shouldn't do taqlid. A lot of tradition are impure. Yeah? The department is what they say. We need to do Islah. But what they mean by Islah is to throw our 1,000 years of tradition in the dustbin. Yeah? And this is what we got now, actually. That's what we get now. Yeah? When you cut our Kalam, our Usul, and our Tasawwuf, this is what you get now in our Islamic society. And because of that, we lost authority. We lost our tradition. We lost our identity when we become simplistic. Yeah? We become literal. Yeah? We lack of intellectual resources. How you want to counter the challenges of Iman, ideologies, and ilm if you reject Kalam tradition? Where you want to find the resources? How you want to develop your perspective or framework with all this tradition? For example, in the spiritual knowledge, if you reject Tasawwuf, where you want to find the resources for our spiritual knowledge? You cannot find in Prof, you cannot find in Jung, you cannot find in Maslow. You can only find in Ghazali, in Muhasibi, in Al-Maki, that's all, in Kushairi. But you reject that way. If you reject, we become like this in Islamic world now. Physically and also spiritually. And we put the past on the bin. Rejected Al-Ghazali, rejected Ash'ari, rejected Al-Razi. Yeah. Then we become like this nowadays. Physically and also spiritually. Both in Syria like this, in Iraq like this. Yeah, physically. So that's why we said we need to revive Kalam. Yeah. I don't like the word theology, but I say Kalam. We need to revive Kalam, we need to revive Usul, and we need to revive Tasawwuf. There's no argument about this. If we are really serious about bring back our tradition, our civilization. And for ISSI, we try to devise three components of Kalam. First, what we call public Kalam, to revive the religious consciousness of public life and public sphere. This by disseminating Aqidatul Awam, for example, at least at the beginning. We must spread the basic work of Barahin, and Safia, for example, Jawara, Tawhid, so that people have awareness of their RKUD iman. At the strategic level, we need to do some stabilization and harmonization for political and for national peace and prosperity. This is the work of, for example, Al-Farq wa Nafira, Amilah important because this is the way we should handle the differences between different opinion or religion or ideologies. And for the university, we need to do a kind of analytic Kalam, academic research and advancement of rational religious knowledge. We need to bring back Mantiq as our tool of reasoning, yeah? And also Kalam, and also Usul again, and also more rational approach to Tasawwuf. It's not, Tasawwuf nowadays it become very mysterious knowledge. People make it a kind of some even exploitation. Yeah? Kind of shape this kind of exploitation in some part of the Muslim world. We need to do this revival. So, for example, in ISSI, we already started the program, the metaphysics part, we think psychology, for example, logic, this kind of the courses we try to offer. Yeah? Antique epistemology, ontology, and of course the basic content of Kalam, like Ilahiyat, Nubuat, Samiyat, will be discussed. And also at the structural part, we need to understand the Kalam tradition and its renewal, and Kalam relation with other sciences, and also we need to understand this 500 years of colonization. We need to do some decolonization or critique to Western knowledge, and then we will engage all field of knowledge with this NASA approach. Yeah? These are some of the programs that we started, and we also do the classical reading now with text. For example, we started with, for example, Pistah Mustaqim, or Arkaid, and after this we will follow all the tradition of Mantiqs, Kalam, and also Sufi as a beginning. So a kind of effort to bring back this tradition. So I hope this can give you some ideas what we are doing. And again, I'm very thankful to the department and my friend here who are very supportive to this activity. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, thank you very much to our honorable speaker for the inspiring and fruitful sharings. I now open the floor for question and answer session. If there are any questions, don't forget to introduce yourself.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Shiri. I'm studying the year second sem in UAE. I think I'm still a little bit unclear, even though I have heard from you a few times. What you mean by Kalam revival? Is it you try to redefine Kalam? Because as the popular definition of Kalam, we try to provide evidences for the already existed dalil of Quran. And how what I understand from your presentation just now, you mean Kalam as the umbrella framework for all other disciplines, isn't it? So if it is so, that's so, how do you differentiate between Kalam and worldview? Another one is from the picture you provide just now. Yes, you should. I'm a little bit lost of words. You include Mula Sadra and Surah Wajib, for example. The Mula Sadra and Surah Wajib, some of us include them as Muslim philosophers. So if we include them in our revival of Kalam, how do we differentiate them as the philosophers or as the mutakallim? I think that's all. Thank you.
Is there any other question that we can collect first? Okay.
Too many questions. So, thank you, Sister Shirin, for the question. I think it's good question for us to think. Yeah, I just have to go back to my slide. Yeah. Okay, first basically, we didn't do a lot of bid'ah actually, yeah. We stick to the original meaning of Kalam. Yeah, the meaning Kalam, as you see from the Amilah clearly put by Nasr Farabi, by Dawi, Ibn Khaldun. Kalam is give the dalil of nakal and nakal of the deen, the basic creed, Arkanul Iman, and also plus the repetition of the shubhah. Then I think everybody is agreeable, yeah, no issue with it. So we follow that definition very, very loyal and very, very closely. I mean, in Kalam, we try to have a dalil or evidence or proof for our iman through revelation and through also our intellectual activity. And plus, we defend our religion from the shubhah, from the ideologies. That should be clear, sharing. So no bid'ah in this. Yeah? Okay. But we also must remember, Kalam should be that knowledge among the major Muslims, among the most of the Muslims being that knowledge. Because we die. Yeah? For example, in the history, no more people talk about Kalam, no teaching in university on Kalam. Even you do not know how many courses in Kalam and still taught. So we need to revive. And we must be realistic. We live in a very challenging world, and Kalam cannot grow just in our own world in the past. So we must put into the modern context, in modern challenges. So we need to do some corrections, some improvements, some improvisation, of course, to deal with the new challenges, which are still the same. Challenge of Iman, challenge of ideology, also challenge of Ilm. So I think as far as definition, we are very traditionalist. We follow the same. But we expand in terms of the application. Because the challenges are different. Although some challenges are the same. Yeah? We still have people who claim they are Mu'tazilah now. Yeah? The people maybe Neo Hawari. Shia is still around. Yeah? But we didn't, doesn't mean we totally rejected. But we need to negotiate, we need to discuss with them all this issue. Yeah? Okay, then I think clear about the first part. Yeah? Okay. You said about Kalam in worldview. Yeah? For me, model view is a new word. It's a new term. I think it's a new term. It's basically started by Kant, actually. It's a like 19th century Kant 18th century, by being kind of popularized by many Western scholars as kind of try to give a more clear picture of the Western or Christian perspective of religion. So they call worldview. A worldview. I would say worldview emphasizes more on the theoria aspect. The theoria. Yeah? But Islam, we have more than just theory. We have Amilah, we have praxis, we have society part, the psychology part. So I think we need to include this together in our revival. Any revival cannot be just theory revival. It needs to be also Amilah revival and also Rohaniyah revival. So that's basically why I said the worldview, although very important concept, yeah, to understand others. Yeah. So in fact, worldview, the approach by our professor, our teacher, for Al-Atas is very Kalamic. You should remember, Al-Atas put the concept of deen, insan, ilm, sa'adah is the key word to develop the worldview. It's like also in Kalam, we have ilahiyat, nubuwah, sam'iyat, and imamah. Yeah. But there's some key concepts that we may miss that we should kind of complement. Yeah? But I take Kalam because we need tradition, clear tradition to begin with. Yeah? I would consider worldview approach is one of the Kalam approach. Yeah? A kind of, I'm now working with RKUD on the certain the evolution of this Kalam tradition. Yeah? We start with Al-Ghazali. Yeah? What we call Al-Ghazali, the Hellenization of the Islamic thought, the Hellenization. Al-Ghazali through Tahaput kind of clean the Muslim thought from this the Greek. Then Al-Ghazali. Then you have, for example, like Ibn Arazi, who tried to synthesize between falsafah and Kalam. What he did is to synthesize. Yeah? And then we have people like later on Ibn Khaldun. It gives more like a social dimension of Kalam through the history, the work of history, of sociology. This is Ash'ariyah, Ibn Khaldun. You must know this very well. And we have people like Tusi, yeah, who kind of try, not Tusi, it's Nursi, Said Nursi. Kind of try to bring also the tasawwuf part in the Kalam. Isra Nur is actually Kalam book. If you look, Isra Nur is a talk about ilahiyat first, then nubuwah, then ubudiyah, samiyah. So it's a Kalam. Then our fifth scholar for Atas, we said the concept of worldview, yeah, as an approach to kind of and it's a modern approach to Kalam. Yeah, so there's a different Kalam and worldview, but there's also a lot of similarity. Yeah? It is occasionally about this kind of one. The last one, when I sit this is the first line. So after Ghazali, a lot of things occurs in the Kalam tradition, in the Tasawwuf tradition, in the philosophy tradition. So I make no exception. We have Kalam, which is Kalam more dominant. The scholars are many, but of course you have still philosopher after Ghazali. For example, Ibn Rushd. You have Ibn Rushd, then you have Nasruddin Tusi. And then things become different. With Suhrawardi, because he kind of promote the Ishraqi. This kind of philosophy turn Tasawwuf, turn Sufi. And then you have Ibn Arabi, of course, and you have Rumi, then Blasaka, kind of the line of Suhrawardi also. So, of course, Tasawwuf also grow, and also the philosophy, for example, especially by Tusis grow. But when later on put, especially on Kalam, they are more, there's a clearer the Kalam tradition. So I didn't just want to mix up Arabi in Kalam, or Tusi in Kalam, or Suhrawardi in Kalam. They have different tradition, which is important, but not in the Kalam tradition. So they have their own tradition that you need to revive if you like. It depends on your intellectual inclination. If you like philosophy, you need to revive the Tusi tradition, for example. You like Tasawwuf, you need to develop further Tasawwuf tradition. But for our purpose, because our constraint, we think it is too much already to develop this tradition. So it's okay, Shirin. Okay, thank you.
Okay, we still open for any other question. If there is.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Amran, and I have a question for what's the main difference between Usuluddin and Ilmu Kalam, because I'm taking the subject Usuluddin, and I learned that Usuluddin has a different name, which is Al-Fiqhul Akbar, Ilmu Nazar, Ilmu Tawhid wa Sifat, and Ilmu Kalam also. So I'm a little bit confusing what's the difference between these two.
Thank you, Brother Ahmad. Ahmad. Okay, thank you for the question. This, I think, Dr. Amilah already mentioned this, but we can go to the earlier slide. The earlier slide. I think everybody got this one piece of paper. Okay. Give you 1 minute to read this carefully, and you can see the difference. You can see the difference. I know there's a lot of confusion about this thing. So we said Aqidah as our very foundation. Then we said the discourse on the fundamental RKUD iman without the detailed discussion on the rational and textual demonstration. It's like a very basic, very basic. You just, as I said, it's very fundamental. You know, this Sikh RKUD iman. You know, very basic. Maybe we just know very little about this dalil nakli from the Quran, hadith, that's all. The typical book that they mention is about Risalah Ibn Zaid, Jamil Jawami, Taqiyuddin As-Subki, and Aqaid Nasafiyah also. It's a Fardu Ain, individually, compulsory, that means for every Muslim. There's no doubt. That means Aqidah is Fardu Ain for everybody. So you should. The Usul, the Tasawwuf, it's by everybody. Compulsory. So we know, But Aqidah, this is not just the level of understanding of Tawhid. When you become more elaborate, you have Usuluddin. The discourse of the aspect of Aqidah in the first one now become more extensive. In the light of rational and textual demonstration, now you must study very detailed about the dalil akal and nakal, right? So they said, they give the book like for example Mubarahin, this can be changed, like Al-Iqtisad, Al-Iqtisad. Those who are in the opinion that blind conformity in Aqidah is a sin. This is some people think very strongly. Maybe we don't This why they differentiate between what they call tawhid, taklid, and tawhid tahqiq. Yeah? Tahqiq. Yeah? That means the one who believes just by following others. Yes, some scholars it's okay, but some scholars say you must know the evidence, the proof by dalil. Yeah? So this comes slowly. Yeah? But in accordance with the capability, not necessarily to be at par with the standard rational and conceptual demonstration as expressed by the mutakallimun. Those who are of the opinion that blind community is aqidah is valid and permissible fardu kifayah. So generally we say usuluddin fardu kifayah. But nowadays, the thing is become fardu kifayah or fardu ain. Nowadays, with the challenge of secularism, liberalism, postmodernism, what do you think now? Because the fardu ain fardu kifayah can change it according to the situation also. This is usuluddin. But kalam, the third one, that means aqidah usuluddin include aqidah. Now become more general. Yeah? Now usul in kalam, the discourse on the various sects, these are the various this what we call what they have opinion, ideologies, or aqidah, particularly of the erroneous sect, is the wrong opinion, wrong ideology, like secularism, communism, liberalism. By elucidating their discourse, correcting their confusion, and refuting their claim. Yeah? These are the big books. For example, Tawali Anwar, Baidawi, even Aqidatul Kubra, Sanusi. In Malaysia, we only know the Sanusi al-Sughra, Mubarak, but Sanusi is the big book, Sanusi al-Kubra. Fardu kifayah, the details are of status by the saying that the knowledge is incumbent upon every region with inconvenience access to another region. So you see, Amran, yeah? There is aqidah which is very fundamental. But you want to know the dalil until it becomes solid. Yeah? And you want to know the other wrong opinion or wrong belief or wrong ideology, you only know in Kalam. So, this is how we look at this thing. Yeah? But nowadays, we talk the problem of thought in the Muslim world with the challenges of these ideologies. Where do you think the Kalam become? Kalam become fardu ain or still fardu kifayah or haram? With our challenges now, what do you think Kalam should be? Fardu ain or haram? Then you think yourself. You cannot defeat liberalism with faith. For sure. You cannot. You cannot know the argument of postmodern by faith. Or by hadith. You cannot. Every field has its own place or its own function. We are talking about nazar, thought, system. People who have what we call axiom, mabadi, or postulate, argument. You cannot deal with atheism by hadith. Of course, these are people who are good, soft heart, that you can just convince him, and they become good with him. But generally now, you talk about atheism, this secularism, liberalism. You think which field can really deal with them. So, Amran, you think yourself, which level, yeah? Because aqidah, or sometimes you go, tawhid is fine, yeah? So, we shouldn't make a fuss of this demarcation. At least now we know everybody should have aqidah, it's very clear. If you live in the jungle, it's okay with your aqidah. And it's fine. Because nobody will confuse you. But in jungle, so you can just set mobile phone. Yeah. So maybe if you are in a very safe environment, yeah, if you are living in a place, all the scholars are around you, yeah, there's no issue of this shubha coming, then you can live with this aqidah. You believe in Iman, it's fine. But nowadays, we have the challenge, and you yourself now, student in university with westernized knowledge and westernized university, which the ilhad already embedded in your discipline. Ilhad already embedded in your university. How you want to counter all this ilhad without kalam? In physics, in economics, in psychology, in engineering, in medicine, all the ilhadic axiom already embedded in the knowledge itself. Believe no God, believe there's no creation, the world are natural, there's no nubuah, there's no akhirat in the knowledge, in the university. Then how you can deal with this ilhad or atheism in the knowledge without the kalam? Yeah. So that's basically my point. Okay, Amran, thank you very much. Any other questions? All you can become Takalimun after this. We hope you can become, because we need the defender of religion. Then you must have in your mind, you are absolutely trying to defend your religion, trying to defend your aqidah. And what Takalimun will show us. It's not bid'ah. It's wajib for us to defend our religion. It is to defend our iman, our basic belief. Because now in the society, we are living in a very kind of atheistic kind of world, actually. If you look at the knowledge, if people put, for example, God exists, God as creator, is a prophethood, as the basis for their knowledge kind of axiom. The knowledge has become secularized, secularized. Knowledge has become westernized. That's it. We need to be westernized knowledge. This is what he meant actually. What he said, all our knowledge now embedded in the university are being infused with the secularized, with the atheistic, this materialistic, or whatever you call it, is un-Islamic values inside it. So you need to revamp the knowledge. You need to clean the knowledge. As what Al-Ghazali did in Tahaqqud al-Falasifa. What Ghazali said, for example, among 20 postulates, 20 key axioms in the philosophy, in the Muslim philosopher, 3 are problematic. For example, about Ilmu Alam, that God didn't know the particular, and our resurrection, or the punishment are just spiritual. Yeah. These 3 are problematic. So Al-Ghazali removed it. So what? The same what we are doing now. We need to do tahaqqud in the modern knowledge, in the modern university. If not, we are just following them. Yeah. So that's all. Thank you very much.
Okay, due to the restriction of time, also limited question, I think. Okay, so we stop here.